The universe is about 14 billion years old, and our solar system is 4.6 billion years old. However, life on Earth only began 3.8 billion years ago. We've come a long way in uncovering some of the secrets of the cosmos, but there are still a lot of things that we have yet to understand. To this day, there is still much for us to discover, and there are also a lot of unanswered questions from our past. In this video, we'll look at some of the intriguing artifacts from our past and some of the strangest things recently discovered. From the mysterious city built on a coral reef to the jigsaw skeletons, here are the 15 most mysterious discoveries scientists still can't explain. Number 15. Mysterious city built on a coral reef. These small, unassuming islets have baffled scientists for years. This is the ancient city of Nan Madol, also known as the Venice of the Pacific. It's located next to the eastern shore of a remote Micronesian island, and although it's been thoroughly excavated, these ruins are still shrouded in mystery. The entire city is built on top of coral reefs, and the structures here resemble the ancient megalithic structures in other archaeological sites around the world. Humans have lived in this mysterious city as early as the 1st or 2nd century BC. What makes that odd is that people didn't build artificial islands or islets until around the 8th and 9th century AD. The entire site is approximately 1.5 kilometers long and half a kilometer wide, with about 100 artificial islets making it up. Most of them were used as homes, but there are also some structures that seem to have a specific purpose, from food preparation and boat construction to oil production. But perhaps the most important part of the ruins is the Royal Mortuary. It's the center of the entire complex, and it's protected by 7-meter walls. Experts think that more than 1,000 people lived on the small islets of Nan Madol hundreds of years ago. The small number is much more significant once you think about how they constructed the entire complex. The story goes that the people of Nan Madol used black magic to carry and transport the numerous megaliths to the islets. But no one knows where exactly they got the megaliths and how they transported them to the islets. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 14. The mysterious birds that show ancient Egyptians knew how to fly. It's no question that ancient Egyptians are among the most renowned ancient civilizations. The Great Pyramids, the pharaohs, and the writings they left behind continue to make them among the most intriguing civilizations. Ever since the 15th century, experts have been trying to discover the secret behind the construction of the massive pyramids of Egypt. Theories range from aliens and magic to tens of thousands of people working together. Many people still believe that they were assisted by extraterrestrial creatures, but experts claim that workers built the pyramids all by themselves. Some of them were fed meat each day and also had the honor of being buried near the pyramids that they built with their own hands. The culture and knowledge the ancient Egyptians honed for 3,000 years are enough to capture the minds of a lot of people. They left a lot of intriguing and mysterious artifacts behind, including the Saqqara bird. This tiny bird made out of sycamore wood was found at the end of the 19th century. It had an inscription that said, Padi Lamen, or Ammon's gift. To this day, this small carved bird is one of the most controversial archaeological findings. The bird is only about 5 inches long and has a wingspan of 7 inches. If you take a look at it, it resembles not only a bird, but also a modern glider. Its wings don't have the slightest curvature, almost as if they aren't from a bird at all. Its tail is shaped almost as if it could accommodate something or someone. The statue also lacks any feet. This detail didn't escape the eyes of some experts, and some even named it the Saqqara glider, or the plane of the pharaohs. Some researchers claim that the tiny bird carving wasn't just a toy or a material used for rituals, but an object with aerodynamic value. Several models were made after the carving to see if it could really fly. However, the differences between the results made it impossible to conclude anything. The mystery of the Saqqara bird remains to this day. Number 13. The mysterious stonework of Pumapunku. Pumapunku is a large temple complex near Tiwanaku, Bolivia. It's part of Tiwanaku, an archaeological site near Lake Titicaca. No one knows the origin of the entire temple, but carbon dating suggests that the entire complex was built by the Tiwanaku Empire that flourished between 300 and 1000 AD. Aside from the mystery behind its roots, archaeologists have been puzzled by the great stonework in Pumapunku since its discovery. Unlike other megalithic structures in the world, the blocks here were cut in an incredibly precise manner. Some of the megaliths were carved to extreme perfection, as if they were made by modern machines. The walls surrounding Pumapunku were so finely cut that each piece interlocks with the surrounding stones, almost like a piece of a puzzle. The stonework the Tiwanaku Empire showcased was far advanced for their time. Some of the megalithic blocks had straight lines and holes in them, almost as if they were made with modern drills. Some even argue that one of the designs looks strangely like an Ethernet cable, but I think that's too much of a stretch. Curiously enough, a lot of the megaliths are H-shaped blocks that fit each other with extreme precision. No one knows how the Tiwanaku created perfect stones and without a written language. The answer behind this intriguing stonework might be lost to us forever. Number 12. Skeleton found under a tree. In 2015, a massive beech tree was uprooted by a storm in the Irish town of Collooney, and it revealed a 2-century-old secret. On the roots of the 200-year-old tree was the skeleton of a young man. The blade markings on the skeleton suggest that he died violently, but it's unclear whether he died in battle or was the victim of a brutal murder. When the tree was uprooted, the upper part of the skeleton was raised into the air, tangled up in the tree's roots, while the bottom half remained shallowly buried in the ground. The unfortunate man was only between 17 and 25 years old when he died, and carbon dating suggests it occurred sometime between 1030 and 1200 AD. It's unclear how the tree grew on top of the shallow grave, but its roots hid this grim discovery for more than 200 years. We still don't know what really happened to him or who he was, and maybe this man will forever be known as the skeleton in the tree roots. Number 11. Mona Lisa remains. Leonardo da Vinci was born in 1452 and became one of the most recognized painters, architects, and inventors of the Renaissance. His sheer brilliance astounded many people, given that he had no formal education in reading, writing, or basic mathematics. He made designs for flying machines and studies on optics and perspective, which turned out to be concepts far too advanced for someone who lived in the Renaissance. He was behind some of the most iconic paintings, including The Last Supper and the Mona Lisa, known as the most famous smile in the world. It's quite normal for the painting to be shrouded in mystery. Why is this painting so famous? And who was the muse behind the legendary painting? The 21-inch by 31-inch painting was said to have been painted by Da Vinci sometime between 1503 and 1506. Even after 5 centuries, the portrait is still admired by many, behind bulletproof glass within the beautiful Louvre Museum. Historians came up with different answers about the identity of the Mona Lisa. Several claimed that it was a self-portrait of the artist himself, but it's widely believed that the Mona Lisa was the portrait of a woman born and raised in Florence. Her name is Lisa Gherardini, born on June 15, 1479, and died on July 15, 1542. Researchers recently found the remains of a woman buried below the Sant'Orsola convent in Italy. The woman seemed to have died around the recorded death of Gherardini, and further analysis will conclude whether she really was the woman behind the iconic painting today. We are one step closer to discovering who the real inspiration for the Mona Lisa was. Number 10. The Shroud of Turin. It's been more than 600 years since the Shroud of Turin appeared in historical records. But aside from being one of the most important religious symbols for Christians around the world, it's also an artifact surrounded by mystery. The Shroud of Turin was a piece of linen cloth bearing the negative image of a man who was said to be Jesus Christ. The earliest record of it started in Liry, France during the 1350s. A French knight brought it to the church's dean in Liry and claimed that it was the authentic burial shroud of Jesus. It's unclear how the knight obtained the shroud or where he found it, and no one knew who kept the shroud since Christ's burial outside Jerusalem. When it was displayed in a church in Liry, it was swarmed by crowds, and many pilgrims journeyed to see it. However, many of the higher-ups of the church remained skeptical of its authenticity, until finally, in 1389, Pope Clement VII announced that the Shroud of Turin was not authentic. Rather than a holy relic, it was merely an icon forged by an artist. Despite this, the debate about its authenticity went on for centuries. Studies from the early 20th century have contradicting results. A research project claimed that the markings on the cloth were consistent with a crucified body, and the stains on the fabric were from real human blood. Some research concluded that the shroud was made between 1260 and 1390, while other analyses showed that it originated between 300 BC and AD 400. But in 2018, a group of researchers used modern forensic techniques and argued that the bloodstains couldn't be from Jesus. And so the truth about the Shroud of Turin remains unknown. Number 9. Red orbs in Thailand. The Naga fireballs are orbs rising from the Mekong River in Thailand. I can only imagine how the first people who saw these glowing orbs reacted, but they're pretty spooky to see. The red orbs can be seen in the river for several days between May and October each year. No one knows the reason why they appear, and no one knows what they are. The explanations behind these orbs range from supernatural to scientific to fraudulent. A local legend tells that the fireballs are formed by the breath of a giant sea serpent living in the Mekong known as the Naga. Some researchers claim that the orbs are manifestations of the swamp gas theory that claims fireballs are formed by methane gas rising up from the organic deposits in the riverbed. Others, however, believe that the lights are created by people to attract attention and tourists to the river. No one knows the definite answer, so I'll let you decide which theory you'll believe. Number 8. Ancient plumbing. Found in Mount Baigong in the Qinghai province of China, the Baigong pipes are one of the most intriguing artifacts. These pipes are rusty tubes that differ in size. The pipes reach from deep inside the mountain to a saltwater lake about 250 feet away, and they're arranged in a way that modern plumbings would be. Numerous theories regarding the pipes have been proposed, from paranormal and supernatural explanations to scientific ones. The pipes were discovered by a Chinese writer in 1996. When the contents of the pipes were studied, it turned out that they are made from 92% of common minerals found on Earth, but the remaining contents are unknown. With this analysis, many people immediately thought that the Baigong pipes were extraterrestrial in origin, but some scientists are still skeptical about it. Some experts claim that these pipes were made by volcanic activity, but the lack of ancient volcanoes in the area quickly disproved this theory. Some claim that the rusted metal pipes were actually the fossilized casts of tree roots. The minerals may have formed around tree roots, and as the tree rotted over time, only the hollow pipe-like cast remained. This is the most probable theory that could explain the existence of the Baigong pipes, but the debate about its origin hasn't died down. Number 7. The fascinating devil cigar. This is a rare fungus called Corioastic gister, also known as the devil cigar. This is just an ordinary fungus, except for its rarity. This mushroom was first found growing in central Texas and nowhere else, until several of them were found in Kyushu, Japan, about 6,500 miles away from where it was first found. To this day, the devil cigar can only be found in Texas and Oklahoma in the United States, and only at Kyushu and Nara Prefecture in Japan. No one knows why this is the case, and researchers still can't explain why these mushrooms only grow in these specific places. Number 6. Namibian fairy circles. In the arid and old Namib Desert in Africa, sprawling grasslands with barren circles can be found. These circles are known as the Namibian fairy circles, and they puzzled scientists for many years. The barren patches range from 10 to 65 feet in diameter, and no one knows why they appeared in the first place. According to the local legend, the fairy circles were marks left behind by gods as they left our planet. However, some experts believe that these splotches on the grasslands have to do something more with math and science than folklore. Theories range from termites and bugs to plants leaving circular spaces in between to ensure that they would flourish. It turned out that the plant theory just might be the truth. Research published in 2020 and 2021 suggests that the patches are created over time as water and moisture in the soil spread out. It's possible that the thirsty plants self-organize to grow around barren circular patches to make sure that there is enough water for everyone. Although some research still proposes other possibilities, including microbial activity, many believe the theory that the plants in the desert organize themselves to ensure their survival. Number 5. Earthquake lights. Before an earthquake occurs, a strange phenomena seems to foretell it all. Earthquake lights are strange balls of light or glowing strings that appear several days or hours leading up to earthquakes. It was said that in 2017, before an 8.1 earthquake struck Mexico, strange green and blue lights illuminate the sky days before. This phenomena has been puzzling researchers for hundreds of years. There are about 60 accounts of these lights appearing in the sky since 1600, and no one is truly sure about what it is. Some people claim that these lights are nothing but lightning in the sky. while some claim that the lights are created by UFOs or supernatural creatures. A lot of conflicting scientific theories were proposed over the years, but the reason behind the earthquake lights remains unknown. And now, it's time for today's topic. Scientists discovered a terrifying structure of advanced aliens in space, or at least that's what experts believe for now. Recently, astronomers noticed a perplexing twinkling light far away from our universe. No one knows what they are, but experts believe there's a good possibility that they came from a megastructure built by extraterrestrial creatures. To this day, experts continue to say that we still haven't found any solid piece of evidence that there are other life forms in the universe aside from us. Both possibilities are terrifying to imagine. There's something inexplicably eerie about the possibility that we are the only life in the infinite universe. But the possibility that there are other life forms aside from us is equally horrifying. Are they far more advanced than us? Do they know that we exist? Or perhaps they've been observing us from afar all this time. There's a chance that the strange lights experts saw in outer space might really be from an alien structure. But there's also a possibility that it's something else entirely. There are endless possibilities about the truth of the universe, and it just might take us a while before we can discover the truth. What do you think? As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's topic, and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 4. The severed feet washing ashore in the Pacific Northwest. On August 20th, 2007, a young girl walking along the shore of Jedediah Island in British Columbia stumbled upon a gruesome discovery: a single blue and white running shoe with a foot still inside. Several days later, a couple made a similar discovery on the nearby island when they found 2 shoes. However, it was clear that the 2 didn't belong to the same pair because they found 2 right feet inside the footwear. The authorities immediately investigated the reason behind the severed feet washing ashore. Many initially thought that a serial killer was on the loose, and they might just have a penchant for cutting their victims' feet off. Over the next decade, 15 more feet washed ashore around Vancouver Island in a system of waterways known as the Salish Sea. When the severed feet were discovered in the early 2000s, many pranksters decided to intensify the horror the nearby citizens felt by putting shoes on the shore stuffed with chicken bones or other animal skeletons. This fad made the investigations all the more confusing, with the investigators coming to a dead end. Many theories have emerged over the years, from serial killers to deep-sea monsters. Many internet sleuths labeled this strange discovery as an unsolved crime, but it turned out that the most probable explanation was far less grim. Researchers think that the severed feet came from corpses in the ocean. Those who die in the ocean will usually sink straight to the bottom and may bloat and resurface. But that's not always the case. Some bodies remain on the seabed for scavengers to eat. Perhaps as the body decomposes and slowly gets eaten by marine creatures, the shoes naturally float along with the feet. I guess it still sounds macabre if you think about it. Luckily, no other human feet have been found recently. But just to be safe, if you see a random shoe along the beach, you might want to take a look and check whether there's still a human foot inside. Number 3. Mummified lung. In 1959, an archaeologist named Michael Fleury found a stone sarcophagus in the Basilica of Saint Denis in Paris. Inside the sarcophagus were a skeleton, a strand of hair, jewelry, and fragments of leather. A gold ring stored within the remains revealed that the body belonged to the Merovingian queen, Arnegund. Researchers were delighted by the discovery, but there was something that befuddled them. Among the remains was a mummified lung. The organ was inexplicably well preserved, and no one could explain how it happened. But entire human bodies are preserved for hundreds of years, so why is this surprising? Human organs are quite different. Several minutes after death, decomposition begins. The heart stops beating, and enzymes in the liver, brain, and other organs will slowly start to break down. That's why many archaeologists were baffled when they found the mummified lung. After decades of uncertainty, some researchers think that they've finally unlocked the mystery behind the lung. The explanation, however, is quite strange, and it seemed like the lung was unintentionally preserved over time. The jewelry that she wore every day became the unlikely key to the preservation of her lungs. Queen Arnegund was known to wear a copper alloy belt around her waist all the time, and researchers speculate that copper oxide got in her lungs as time passed by. Copper and the spice embalming treatment might have been the reason behind the extremely well-preserved organ. Number 2. Mass baby graves in Israel. The Roman Empire is one of the most influential in history. Rome became the most powerful state in the entire world by the 1st century BCE, and its culture and political power are still renowned to this day. This new discovery, however, sheds light on one of the most brutal things the Romans did. A mass grave was found along the shores of Israel, in the ancient seaport of Ashkelon. Researchers thought that they found a grave of chicken bones, but later analysis showed that it was something more grim. They found the remains of infants that all date back to the Roman era. More than 100 skeletons of infants were found, and there were no clues that could tell how the infants died. It's highly possible that the grave was intended only for infants, but research suggested otherwise. What's intriguing is that there were no signs of illness or disease, and they appeared to be perfectly healthy when they died. Researchers think that this is proof of the mass killings performed by Romans. Killing infants wasn't a punishable act at the time of the Roman Empire. It was merely a way for them to control the population. Well, that's a not-so-fun fact. Number 1. Jigsaw mummies. In 2001, 4 prehistoric mummies were discovered in Scotland, but they weren't ordinary. The remains belonged to a 3-month-old infant, 2 adult women, and a man. There wasn't much of a surprise in the discovery, but when the researchers inspected the remains, they discovered that there was something more intriguing about one of the female mummies. Studies show that one of the female bodies was made up of 3 different people. Some parts of the skeleton belonged to a male. Archaeologists were quite puzzled as to why prehistoric people stitched the body parts of different people together before mummification. It might have been a way for them to connect their lineage together, or just another ritual that they practiced. All of these discoveries are quite intriguing, but which one do you think is the most interesting? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.